Hi, I'm Steph from Dynamic Fitness, and today I want to show you a really nice circuit for when you're coming back to exercise postpartum. So once you've had your baby, you've been cleared by the midwife or the doctor, and you're ready to start doing some exercise. Now, whether or not you do have the ab separation, diastasis recti, these exercises are going to be good for you to start learning your body again and getting some fitness in for your recovery, including helping you with getting the muscles that are required for sitting up and standing up and holding your baby and all those really good things. So what I want you to do is follow along here, start slowly. This is a very beginner first kind of exercise back routine. So what I want you to do is see how you go and progress. If it feels too easy, fine, great. You start upgrading. If it feels hard still, fine, great. We start downgrading a little bit. So I'll show you different modifications. I'll show you what we can do. We're gonna start with something relatively straightforward. You just need a wall, obviously. My wall is a little bit different today, so you'll have to bear with me, but I will be able to demonstrate everything. So we're gonna start with a wall sit. Now, what I want you to do for this is come back against your wall. What you're gonna end up doing is bringing your knees, starting at shoulder position, shoulder width apart, bringing your knees down to 90. So when you're against the wall, your back's gonna be up straight, tucked under, and then you're gonna have a 90-degree angle here at your knees. So when you come down against your wall, lovely, we're gonna just sit here for 15 seconds, 10 if you need to. This is strong, I'm not gonna lie. This is really in your quads. If you need to be up a little bit more, you can. Make sure your hands are not on your knees. Bring them up to the front, keep your shoulders pressed back. 5 more seconds. Good. And relax down, press up against the wall. Try not to collapse down. That could damage the tendons in your knees. If you have to, just try to do so as gracefully as possible to try to really protect yourself. Okay, so you've done that, you've started. Let's move into a bridge. What you're gonna do now is come down onto your back. You've got your lower back, sorry, you can't see me. Lower back pressed against the floor here. Tuck your pelvis and engage your abs. Now, all you're going to do is lift up your pelvis into the air. So again, your knees and your feet are about hip distance apart. Your shoulders are pressed back down. Your abs are engaged. If this is enough for you, if you feel your muscles, that's fine. Stay here. Just practice those pelvic tilts. Tilting back, squeezing your abs, squeezing your lower back, engaging your pelvic floor. Feeling good here with all of that movement? Lift up, high as you can. You want a straight line between your shoulder all the way through your hip into your knee and lower down. We're gonna do this 10 times. What you need to focus on is that lower back press, your pelvic tilt, engaging your pelvic floor and your abs, and lowering back down, that's 2. So do that again. You have a little raise here, make sure it's down. Engage your glutes, lift up, lowering down for 3. The most important thing is that you're activating all of your core. So what do we count as a core? We count our abs, of course. We count our lower back because they help stabilize your abs. We count our pelvic floor because that holds everything up and in. And we count your glutes because they need to work in order for everything around up here to work. So you're halfway through, keeping it nice and slow, squeezing everything all together. Good. If this is enough, pause. We're at number 7 now. Just do your pelvic tilt. Keep it slow and controlled. That's the most important thing when you're starting again. You're just learning this new body. Everything's different. Lovely, we've got 1 more. And 10. Good. Now, we're gonna stay down here in this bridge position. This now, what we're gonna do is another variation of a bridge. This one, we're going to really focus on that pelvic floor and the pelvic floor pull. So when you're up in that bridge position, which I'll show you because you're not gonna see it exactly from the side, you're gonna have your shoulder width, hip width apart, ankles and knees, good solid bridge position. You're gonna come up just like we just did. And at the top of that movement, you're gonna really engage your pelvic floor, squeeze it together all the way from the back to the front, and then open your knees and close them again. So you've got a little open and close, a clamshell. Open and close. That's gonna help get in those inner thighs, a little bit in the outer here, and it's going to help get all the muscles of the pelvic floor working and engaged. So down on your back, we're going for 10. So you're up, pelvic tilt, squeeze and engage every aspect of your core. Lift up, open your legs wide as you can, keeping your feet flat on the ground, and lower down. Good. So pelvic floor, pull it in and squeeze. Open wide, close, and release everything on the way down. You have 8 more. Lift, open wide, close. If it's feeling too strong for you here, just start working on that clamshell movement. Make sure that you've got a nice, comfortable position with your lower back. So you've tilted your pelvis, and then you just open and close, squeezing and engaging your pelvic floor. Lovely work. We've got another 3 here. So this is 8, open. You can see the nice long line I've got. There's no dipping. Make sure you really squeeze that lower back. It could still feel painful. It could feel really weak. So just make sure you're watching it. Lovely. 10. Perfect. And come on down. All right, so our next exercise, we're gonna be moving into our upper body. We've got tricep dips. So that's the back of our arms here. This is still gonna work work and engage our core, our glutes, and our hips. So all you need to do here is keep your fingers pointing towards your toes. You're gonna have your hands quite close to your body. So it's almost like you'd be sitting on them if you went back that far. Your elbows are facing the back of the room. They're not coming out to the side, they're coming backwards. So from that position here, lift up. Just do this as high as you can. You might be up here, you might be here. Doesn't matter where you start, that's your starting point. So lift up. We're gonna start really low today and slow. All you do is push, bend at your elbows. So you've got, make sure that, see, you don't have a dip, up at your shoulders, lift up and engage out of that using your upper back. Bend at the elbows and push back up. So I've got the weight in my heels for balance. The majority of the weight I'm going to feel is in my arms, on my hands, in my palms, into my triceps. Good. So you can also see I've got a nice straight line in my back. There's no dipping like that. Not okay. Pull and activate that pelvis. So you're always tipping it forward. Engage your pelvic floor. Just squeeze it. All you gotta do. Lovely. 7, 3 more. There's a really good chance I just counted this wrong. 9, I'm very bad at counting and talking. And 1 more. 10. Lovely. So that gets right into the back to your arms there. Really good for picking things up, getting up off the floor, holding your baby for long periods of time, and a good way to help release the chest. If you're doing breastfeeding, you might be feeling a bit hunching forward, so that's a good way to just release that the other direction. The next exercise we're going to go into is another core and then just general opener, really. So what I want you to do is come into a tabletop position. We're going to start this with 3, there's going to be 3 modifications depending on various levels to get you into it. So the most important thing, we've got first, shoulders, elbows, wrists, straight line. Very important. Fingertips are facing front. Then I'm going to have my hips and my knees straight line. Then I am not going to have a lower back dip. I am going to tuck my pelvis, engage my abs, and have a straight line. You can have a glass of water on your back at this point and you won't spill it. This is how you're going to stay. And this might be strong enough for you right now, and that's okay. Just practice engaging, holding for 5 seconds, release. Engage, hold for 5 seconds, release. Good. And if that's okay, we're going to move into the next step. The next step is lifting up your hands. So, watching my back, there's no movement. You can still keep that water. I'm going to shift my weight to balance on one arm, press one arm forward, bringing it back, lowering it down, lifting the other arm. You can see there's no change in my back. That glass of water that's on my back, invisible as it may be, hasn't moved. Okay, if that feels good and you're able to do this movement, keeping your nice and straight line, keeping everything engaged. What I want you to do is move into your legs. So you've got the same thing, balance, nothing moves. You see that back, that hip, the pelvis, it all stays together. Push your heel back, come forward. Other leg, so lift up, push your heel back. Really good, come forward. Now, if that feels good, and you can do both all at once, keeping your abs engaged, keeping your pelvic floor pulled in, and your back is straight, we're gonna do it at the same time. So lift one arm, opposite leg, and push both. So fingertips come forward, heel comes back, and moving down. Other side, up, engage everything, pull in that pelvic floor, and down. You may be feeling this in places you're not expecting, like your upper back, like your obliques, like your calf. You never know, your forearm. So just make sure that you're really focusing on what you feel in your body and what may or may not feel good or bad or like it needs work. Remember, you've just had a major trauma to your body in giving birth, and it's going to feel different. And we're going to just take that and go with it. So all you need to do is take that superpower goddess warrior that you are and take that mindset and focus it now on recovery. Lovely. I've lost all track of any count we have. So we're just gonna do 4 more to each side, making sure that you have a nice solid back. If this is feeling too much, always just stop and recover. So you can just stick with one arm at a time, one leg at a time. Good. And if that's still too much, squeeze everything and relax. Squeeze everything and relax. Good. That's one more exercise knocked out. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is come into a side plank, but it's going to be a modified one. So what I want is for you to, I'm gonna grab a towel because it'll be a little more comfortable on my forearm. Just gonna have your forearm, your elbow is going to be straight over your shoulder, and you're gonna be sitting on your hip. You've got both knees bent at this point. If you want, you can have the top leg straight if you're feeling comfortable, but all you're gonna do is lift up your hip straight up in the air. You don't wanna be coming forward or backward, you're not tilting, you're just lifting. For now, just coming up into this position might feel strong enough for you. You can feel, right now, my obliques are engaged, they are working. Keeping that position up and keeping up off your shoulder, it's hard work. So if that feels good, lift your hip up. You can always have whatever's more comfortable for your hip, so down or up. You're just gonna hold this. We're just gonna stay here for 10 seconds. 8, 9, 10, good. And come back down. Then we're gonna switch to the other side. So, same thing again on the other side. So you've got your elbow underneath your shoulder. You've got your hips in alignment right there with your elbow, and you're going to lift your hip straight up. You've got your knees in a slightly bent position. Again, the top leg can be straight out if that feels more comfortable for your hip. And if you just do that position where you're lifting up out of your, pushing that shoulder up, lifting upright, you might feel that this is strong enough for you today because this is hard. Getting into that shoulder is hard when you lift up. That's heavy right here, and you're gonna have to use that smaller oblique, just the side, to keep you upright, keep you flat, keep your lower back from dipping. So you've gotta stay up, 10 seconds here, nice, straight, solid line down. 8, 9, and 10, and lower back down. Lovely. So if you feel like it, you can stay a little longer in those positions. That's not a problem at all. We're gonna end now with just one more exercise, which is our wall push-up. Now, again, you can see my wall is a bit dramatic, so I'm going to show you with a bench. You can also do this with a table, whatever you want. But what we're doing is essentially a press-up in an elevated position. So your body line is going to be upwards rather than straight down. So all that's going to do is decrease the lever length of your body and make the weight that is bearing on your chest that little bit easier. Now, a little word of caution here. If you're breastfeeding, you might feel some tenderness while you're doing any kind of chest movement, even back movement, shoulder movement, doesn't matter. If you're feeling that, you might have to just pick different times of day to exercise, different times of when you fed or when you didn't. If you're still in recovery, in any position, like your chest is just different. So make sure you're paying attention to that. And if you've got any questions, feel free to give us a shout. And we can walk through any more of those kind of questions you have about exercise during breastfeeding. But for now, just a little word of caution as we come into a chest exercise, which is the push-up. So against the wall, you're gonna be standing up in a nice straight line, step about 2 feet away. So here's my wall. I'm gonna step back about 2 feet. And then I'm just going to come forward like that. So I'm gonna just come up on my knees because then that's a better indication for you of what it looks like. And just imagine I'm standing up straight, and you're just going to let your elbows come out to the side and press close to the wall as you can and come back. Really big squeeze at the top. At the top of that movement, I want you to feel like your armpits are squeezing together. And then I want you to slowly come back down and come back up. Good. So if you don't have a wall, like I don't, you can use a couch, you can use a bench, you can use a countertop. It's another great option. Let me demonstrate here. So I'm back. Here's a countertop. I can come out. You can't see me at all, but the point is that I can come out a little bit further. So rather than coming all the way down to the ground, I just come out further and back up. So I've got a little bit less of a lever to start lifting myself up. So make sure that whatever you're doing, you feel comfortable across your chest as you come up and down. And feel free to vary any of those for the modifications. But remember, when you're first back to exercise, that first week in particular, that first circuit you do, make sure you take it slowly. Make sure if you feel any discomfort or weirdness, you stop, and you make sure that you correct you have to have correct posture and form the whole time, because you really are learning your new body. You're getting back into a new lifestyle and form of picking up a baby who's consistently growing, and you are going to be stronger in new ways, and you're going to surprise yourself, and it's going to be amazing. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us here at Dynamic, and I hope you enjoyed this circuit. Complete it 2 to 3 times if you feel up for it. I'll try to get something else going for you with the modifications to make it a little bit stronger as the weeks go forward. So I hope you are enjoying your time with your baby and enjoying all of the joys that motherhood has to bring, and I'll speak to you all soon.